Welcome to this talk on the cross. Remember in our last video we looked at Jesus and the cross he was crucified on? Well, this time I want to bring out the fact that Jesus invites us to take up a cross. And this comes to us in Luke. Let me read the verse to you. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it. That's Luke 9:23-24. Well, some of you probably think, well, that's a pretty heavy statement. I don't want that. But when we look at the book of Hebrews, we find that Jesus, with the joy that was before him, he endured the cross. He didn't find any joy in the suffering and pain, of course not. But he was looking forward to the time when we as people would be reconciled to his Father. Also, this brought much glory to his Father, and that's what helped motivate him in that direction. Now, in the Western world, we have a couple of problems. We pursue too much the whole idea of happiness, and we have this concept that we must be happy. That's not true. We don't need to be happy. It is nice when we are happy. And the other thing is this whole idea of self-fulfillment. I want to do this, and I don't want anybody to stop me. Now, what's the purpose of the cross? Well, for Jesus, of course, it was to do with dying. And for us, it's to do with dying to self. There's so many things we want to do, and God might be pleased with them, but sometimes his agenda is different to ours. And I like the thought of the Greeks coming to Jesus in Jerusalem, and they hunted him down, found him, and Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it springs forth and bears much fruit." It's a paradox, really, that through death we find life. And Jesus says, if you just try and find life, you will lose it. But if you're willing to lose your life, you will find it. And of course, for Jesus, he was predicting his death on the cross and his resurrection. So we have a cross to carry. I wonder what Paul's cross was. It could have been perhaps the churches that were a burden to him, the ones that he had planted. Maybe they were difficult people. But when we come to 2 Corinthians, we find that there was a thorn put in his side, and it wasn't a literal thorn, metaphorical type of thorn. It caused great discomfort. And 3 times he prayed to the Lord and said, "Would you please take it away? I find this so difficult." But the Lord said, "My grace is sufficient for you." Now, just before this verse, he goes through all that he's accomplished. And of course, he's accomplished a lot. He was a very intelligent man. He was prestigious in the area of religious behavior, and people admired him. And then he talked about his spiritual experiences of meeting God, and he could have boasted about all these things, but he says, "I don't boast about those things. This thorn has caused me to be really weak and really reliant upon the Lord, and I boast in my weakness." It's quite different to the way we operate today. I think of Johnny Erickson, who as a teenager dived into a pool of water, and she broke her neck. Terrible, terrible situation for her, and she went through a lot of pain and suffering. But this is the comment she makes about that. The cross is the center of our relationship with Jesus. The cross is where we die. We go there daily. It isn't easy. Have you ever seen a gold nugget? I don't think I have, but I've seen pictures of them. And when they come out of the ground, they don't look splendid at all. But when they go through the crucible, and when they're heated so they become molten gold and the top is skimmed off, and it just looks so beautiful, and it's such an expensive mineral. And that's what happens to us as we carry our cross. The Lord refines us so we get to know him better. So I have this link below, and you're welcome to do it. It's on the cross, and may God bless you as you do it.